Welcome to The Culture. We rest at the pulse of the community, providing all things news, music, fashion, events, and everything that we talk about in between. It's a lifestyle. We are The Culture.
Thank you so much for joining us again, friend to the show, Senator Dwight Bullard, Political Director for New Florida Majority. Thank you, sir, for coming and lending your wisdom.
Hey, thank you for having me, Jessica. I'm always appreciative of being on The Culture.
I love it. We wanted to talk with you because in the midst of all of the COVID-19 discussions, the death toll continuing to rise. I believe today they reported 6.6 million unemployment insurance filings across the United States.
17 million in the last 3 weeks. It's tough out here.
17 million.
17 million. Yeah.
17. Thank you. There's still an election coming up. Not just one. It's a whole bunch.
Several. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted you to provide some wisdom, some help to kind of guide us through this and navigate, because we aren't getting the coverage that we need to utilize while we have this downtime. We could be doing research and
Yeah. I mean, you spoke about a new normal, and normally we're in a year like this, we're accustomed to turn on CNN or Fox or MSNBC and hearing about presidential candidates going around the country talking about their platforms. As the summer approaches, we be thinking about things like the Olympics, but also the national conventions that are taking place. And so all those things are being postponed and turned around and kicked back and, moved further and further back on the calendar.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, there are definitely a lot of elections going on, for Florida, for the country. There's going to be a serious about face in terms of elected officials, whether they be, in some cases, governors for certain states. We're talking about U.S. senators, of course, the president of the United States, but at the very local level and the people that are probably most important to each of us, elections like school board, county commission, mayoral elections, judicial elections are all happening, and they're going to happen in some way, shape, or form, whether we're inside on quarantine or not. These elections are going to happen, and so it's important for folks to get the information they need.
Yes. So let's look locally. Are there some seats coming up for that are opening up with our school board in Miami-Dade County?
Yeah. So, we grew up in South Dade, and South Dade is actually going to have a number of elections all the way to, top to bottom, where we're going to be electing a brand new state representative, brand new school board member, brand new county commissioner, all at the same time, which is something unprecedented. I mean, we've been accustomed to a level of stability in South Dade. We've had the same county commissioner since 1993. We've had a state rep that's been there for now 8 years. So we've been used to a certain level of consistency that's not going to be there. But that's one community. I think to your question, there are going to be 3 open school board seats, districts 3, district 5, and district 9. But there are also going to be elections for all the odd numbered seats of the school board and the county commission, for that matter. And so you have some incumbents there, some folks. Our good friend Dr. Gallen is up on the ballot this year. It looks like he'll probably be unopposed, but his seat would be coming up in 2020. But for District 3, for those who don't know, District 3 is the Miami Beach area, the beach, North Beach and South Beach, as well as a little sliver of the mainland. District 5 is the Doral area of Miami-Dade County, and District 9 is South Dade, where we're familiar with areas like Homestead, Florida City, Cutler Bay, Goulds, Richmond Heights, all will be electing new school board members, brand new school board members, because the incumbents have decided not to run again in those 3 seats.
Talk to me about South Dade. Do you know who's thrown their hat in the ring?
Yeah, in South Dade, you have a couple folks running. You have a young lady by the name of Luisa Santos, went to Coral Reef, a graduate of Coral Reef Senior High School, who's running for office. She's a small business owner. You have a young man by the name of Justin Corin, who's a assistant principal at our alma mater, Miami-Killian.
Oh,
Yeah. So he's also a graduate of Coral Reef as well.
Oh.
But happens to be the assistant principal over at Killian. You have a former PTA president, countywide PTA president, Dr. Nancy Lawther, is also running in that race, and a few other candidates. But those are kind of some of the more notable names that are out here running for that particular position.
Okay, I have to do some research on it.
Absolutely.
I'm familiar with any of those candidates.
Yeah.
Haven't been asked to vote for any of those candidates. Haven't received an email or anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're all getting their technology together. You'll be getting text messages and emails and the whole 9 yards. But you brought up a very important point: research, right? We're at a point now where a lot of us are stuck at home. Talking about boredom, rather than doing a TikTok video, folks can really be checking out who these folks are, what they're running for. If you go to your county supervisor of elections website, and that's miamidade.gov, you can go on, check out, see who's running, check out these names for all the various races that folks are running for. So it's important that folks go and check those things out.
And so if there are any websites that we mentioned during the show, we'll post them in the body so that you have an easy reference to go to.
Absolutely. We want to make sure folks go, they're educated, look up, I think the first key is, I want to make sure the viewers are following a particular trajectory, and that is, if you're not registered to vote, make sure you register to vote.
Oh, yeah, you have to start there.
Bottom line.
That is of importance to start with the fact that your voice can be heard by being registered.
Absolutely. And folks, a lot of folks don't know, but 29 days before an election is the last day that you can register to vote for that election. So I don't want anybody to be showing up on August 17th or August 18th when the election happens and say, well, I didn't know about this or I didn't know about that. We're letting you know right now, this is April. We're letting you know in April that you need to be registered to vote. Update your registration. You can register online. So there's no reason to go down to the library. A lot of folks think I got to go down to the library. I got to go down to DMV. You can literally register online to vote here in the state of Florida now. So go ahead and do that. The next step, of course, is looking up for those who are registered. A lot of folks don't know which districts they're in.
Right.
And so it's important for folks to look those up so that if you have your voter identification card, which many of us do, it does give a lot of that information to folks. As a matter of fact, we want to
go ahead and show it to us where it is.
Yeah, because
in the bottom of the voter registration card. Where
I try to be that guy. I actually walk around with it in my wallet, but it should look a little something like this. I don't want to show all my information.
Yeah, that's true.
But this is the little blue card. It's a voter. Everyone thinks it's a voter ID. It's not. It's actually a voter information card. But it's trifold. It gives you school board district, your state senate district, your county commission district. So that way you know where you are. And then the third step is the one you brought up, and that is once you find that out, let's look into some of these folks and see what they're about, see who they are. Not everybody's going to be a political director like me and have to research these folks on a regular basis. But these are going to be people who are going to be making decisions for your life. I mean, when you think about where we are right now, I know everyone's still looking for that stimulus check in the mail, but you
that advance loan.
That advance loan that you get, basically. But you think about the school board budget is a $6 billion budget. And where those resources go and how they're allocated is determined by the people who are on your school board. You know, the state of Florida has a $90 billion budget. You know, who you elect as your state representative makes a determination on how you get a hold of those resources. You know, the county has a $6 billion budget that determines everything from, you know, who gets library resources to, you know, which bus lines are going to be coming up and through your community to how roads are getting built. And so it's important for you to choose those people who are going to be looking out for your best interests, who are going to have your best interests in mind. And so, you know, use this time since you're at home, you know, get to Googling, you know, who's running for school board. I mean, that's the simplicity of technology now is you can literally say who's running for Miami-Dade County School Board, put it in Google, and all this information pops up. And now you can start looking up these folks and see, you know, who you should be voting for and what they're all about.
So it's 3 seats that are up for election?
Three school board seats that are brand new, but 5 seats in total. So districts 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 will all be on the ballot. As I mentioned, Dr. Gallen is up there in Miami Gardens. As of right now, he doesn't have any opposition. District 3 out towards the beach, if you're a beach resident, is brand new. There are about 6 or 7 people running in that district. District 5, like I said, is out in the Doral area. Again, quite a few folks, actually about 3 folks running in that race. District 7, which has an incumbent, Dr. Luby Navarro, but she has opposition as well. She has about 3 or 4 folks running against her.
Oh, wow.
And then I mentioned District 9 being wide open. Dr. Feldman is leaving, and folks have an opportunity there. I know I mentioned 3, but there are actually about 5 or 6 folks running in that district as well.
Right. And then let's go up county level wise. The commission.
County commission. So same rules apply. The odd number districts are all going to be up this year. Some, again, will be uncontested, but in a lot of spaces, you have brand new folks running for those seats. So again, District 1 up in the Miami Gardens area.
That was Commissioner Jordan.
Yeah, was Commissioner Jordan. She's still there. I don't want to dismiss her. She's there until the election's over. But that's going to be an interesting one, of course. You have the mayor of Miami Gardens running against Sabrina Fulton, who's Trayvon Martin's mother and the head of the Trayvon Martin Foundation. So a lot of folks going to be watching that one. District 3, which is the Liberty City, Little Haiti area. Another hotly contested race. You have Miami City Commissioner Keon Hardeman running. You have longtime county employee Eddie Lewis. You have Dr. Tissa McGee. You have Jepsy Metellus, who runs a nonprofit, Sant La, which is a nonprofit for sort of the Haitian community, all running in District 3. District 5, which is
where you moved from District 3, that was
Edmondson's current seat right now. And so she's leaving due to term limits. Quite a number of folks running there. District 5 is one of the only ones that's kind of stable. You have a county commissioner, Eileen Higgins, who was recently elected, who'll be running for re-election in that seat. Then, you keep going down. District 7, District 9, which is South Dade, and District 11 are all up for election this year. District 9, again, another hotly contested one for South Dade. You have current Democratic leader Keone McGee running against longtime lawyer and community activist Marlon Hill, community councilman Johnny Farias, former Homestead City Councilman Elvis Maldonado, all running to replace longtime Commissioner Dennis Moss, who we both know very well.
Mm-hmm. And then who had 7? Who is in 7 right now?
Who's in 7 right now? That is being vacated, but you have Raquel Regalado, who is a former school board member, is running out there. That's the district that encompasses downtown Miami. Yeah, it escapes me who the incumbent is.
What
in that
about
seat right
11?
now.
Do you remember what that one was?
Yeah, 11 is actually Joe Martinez, and he's being opposed by Robert Asensio, who's running, who used to be a state representative. And that's West Kendall, Westchester, kind of southern West Dade out in District 11. So
It's 7, that's South Miami. That would be Suarez.
Oh, that's who it is. Thank you for reminding me. I was like, why does it escape me right now? But
Yeah.
yes, it is Xavier Suarez. And you also have former Mayor Cindy Lerner, used to be the mayor of Pinecrest, running out in that space as well. So
in 7, right?
in 7, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so it skirts downtown Miami, but also, of course, covers Coconut Grove and South Miami primarily.
Mm-hmm. So that's the school board, and then we did the county
commission.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess the big ticket is, of course, county mayor. Current mayor Carlos Jimenez will be vacating that seat, and a lot of folks running to take that position, including former Mayor Alex Pinellas, current Commissioner Daniela Levine Calva, current Commissioner Esteban Bovo, current Commissioner Gene Monestein, current Commissioner Xavier Suarez, all running to try and become county mayor, and a few others. Monique Bartley is another interesting candidate, African American woman who's running in that seat. But again, encourage folks to do their research, and I don't want to fault anybody who may see this as like, oh, Bullard didn't mention me. You know, I'm just sharing what I know, who I know, coming off the top of my head. So if I missed announcing your name running for office, blame it on my head, not my heart.
Yeah, it's a lot going on, and we're just talking.
And it's a lot of change. And I know mentioning all these names can be overwhelming for a lot of folks because it's like, it feels like homework. But what I really want to encourage folks to do is understand what this means for you and your money and how you live your life. You know, if you're somebody who takes public transportation, you need to be invested in this, right? If you are a parent of a child in public schools, you need to be invested in these elections. If you have ever been to Jackson Hospital, you need to know, you need to know about what's going on. These are all public entities that take money from you as a taxpayer and use it based on what other people theorize as what they think is important. And so it's important for people to have a say-so in these budgets.
Right. Then we have state seats.
Definitely, you have state rep seats up and down, and we, like I said, we can get into all this, but again, I'll break it out again. I'll put it back in my wallet, but I want to remind folks, your voter information card is critically important. I cannot tell you this enough. Miami-Dade.gov sends these out. As a matter of fact, I just recently updated mine, so I want to encourage folks to pull that out so that right here at the I'll tell it myself, but right here at the bottom part of it, it literally gives you number by number what your districts are, what your seats are, and the things that you need to be looking out for. So, for instance, mine says that I'm a Congressional District 26, Senate District 40. Since I've moved, I'm now in House District 115, County Commission District 8, and School Board District 9. So all these are the races that I got to keep an eye on and make it a point. So I don't want to overwhelm people with having to look at everything.
Right.
Just pay attention to the ones that are in your district. You may have friends running, because it seems like everybody and their mama is running for office right now. So if you get someone might be calling your phone to ask you for a donation, or to come, do some virtual phone banking. All those things are going to happen between now, August, and now November, without a doubt.
Let me say this. Were you surprised that Bernie went ahead and dropped out?
Not really. I mean, I was a Bernie supporter and a Bernie delegate back in 2016. So, I've been following the campaign, definitely been a supporter of a number of his policies. But if you know anything about Bernie Sanders, you know that he doesn't want to see people suffer undue risk. And so if people were watching the news, there was a lot of controversy around the Wisconsin primary that happened on Tuesday. They wanted to postpone it, like many of the primaries that have been taking place have been postponed because of COVID-19. And the governor of Wisconsin asked to move it, but the Supreme Court, which is led by Republicans in Wisconsin, chose to keep it on Tuesday. And it really put a lot of people unnecessarily at risk, and it really created a lot of confusion amongst folks. So I like to attribute, and this is just me speaking based on what I know about Senator Sanders, I like to attribute kind of the thinking around that as to why he chose now to say, all right, I'm going to concede and allow this thing to kind of wrap up, because you don't want folks putting themselves at risk in the exercise of democracy. We're hoping, knock on wood, that everything will be better ahead of the August primary, and again for November. We're hoping that this COVID thing will no longer be a crisis, but as of last Tuesday, things were a little difficult, especially in places like Milwaukee, which unfortunately leads the state of Wisconsin in the number of deaths and folks contracting the virus, and unfortunately, it's disproportionately affecting Black people, especially. And so that's something that people don't want to talk about as much, but it's a very real thing.
Yes. I thought it was a way where we're looking now at a clear path on what it is that we're going to be supporting if you're a Democrat, and what our race ticket, what that ticket looks like now is very clear.
Yeah. I mean, and it's going to be interesting. I know a lot of folks are now, taking bets or playing games, trying to play the who's he going to pick game. Saw a real interesting article in the Washington Post recently about the top 11 potential candidates, all being women.
Who did they say?
Most being women of color. The number one, they ranked them 1 through 11. Number one being, according to them, Kamala Harris, your soror, as the potential pick. Also, somebody I'm excited to think about is former gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams.
Wow.
Spelman alum. She was on the list. Of course, Elizabeth Warren was on the list. Former Ambassador Susan Rice, the governor of Michigan. So you had a lot of credible and very powerful women that are on that list, including our own Val Demings from the state of Florida. Made the list as well. She's a congresswoman from up in the Orlando area, former chief of police for the city of Orlando.
And of course, them being on that list means nothing to do about the fact that whether they're interested in it or not.
Well, I mean, most of them have expressed interest, but it was announced today that a committee would be formed to vet potential nominees. So it's going to be interesting, and it's either going to excite people or piss a lot of people off, or do both whenever that VP nominee is announced, because people aren't really paying attention. So you need something that's going to kind of excite people, something that people can kind of wrap their arms around. So it's
well, I just got excited.
And I encourage folks to check it out. It's that is an exciting time. The idea of a woman of color, especially the potential of a Black woman, being the vice president. I know we've had a Black president, but the notion of a Black woman really does excite me. The idea of it, especially somebody who is like an unapologetic Black woman.
Right. Right.
You know,
right.
Your sister friend up in there, just making decisions is exciting and should give people a lot of excitement to think about, no doubt.
Yes. Now, before we wrap, anything you want to end with about the presidential campaign as it relates to our current president or anything?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If you've been watching these press conferences every day, if you've been following what's been going on from back in, January and February, when, the current president was denying that that coronavirus was a thing, to the constant changing. If I like to tell folks, if you're tired of riding this roller coaster, you have an opportunity to get off of it by voting in November. And me personally, that, if it requires me to put on a mask or a bodysuit or whatever and go to the polls to cast my ballot, it's going to get done.
But then we also have the opportunity of voting by mail, where I do believe, regardless of where we are, we still can exercise that. You get
absolutely.
Your ballot. You can still go to the polls if you want to and take your ballot with you.
You can do that as well. And vote by mail is definitely a viable option. I encourage folks to do it. But I also know there are people that are skeptical. For me, I'm an in-person voter, and I get it. You want to see your ballot, you want to put it in the machine, you want to look at the names and be in the moment, and that's going to be me. And like I said, I'm a firm believer that by November 3rd, when the election happens, and I'm sure before that, we'll be in a position where social distancing and all the things that we're doing now will pay off. So I'm looking forward to going right over there to either my polling place or going to the library during early voting and casting my ballot. But I want to encourage everyone else to do it as well and not be scared, because, like I said, I'm tired of riding this ride. I'm ready to do something new and bring about some normalcy. So I look forward to seeing everybody at their polling places.
Thank you always, Dwight. We appreciate you.
Indeed.
And until next time.
Indeed. Take it easy.
Thank you.
The Culture is produced and owned by Hip Rock Star Media and cannot be reproduced or broadcast without written consent by Jessica Garrett Motkins. All rights reserved 2020.